All right. Hi, everyone. My name's Stacy. I'm a community engagement coordinator with the Mental Health Society. Today, we're joined by mental performance consultant, Christie. Hi, Christie. Thanks so much for being here today.
Hi, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the time.
So just to start off, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and what a mental performance consultant is.
Yeah, great. I'll basically say that primarily I'm a counselor. I've been in private practice here in Victoria for over 12 years in Victoria. I've had my private practice for over 20, almost 25 now. The the things that I've focused mostly on are looking at the athlete and performer population. Now, as a mental performance consultant, that is a title that we've used broadly within the sport environment and the sport community across Canada at the Canadian Sport Institutes. And that's one of my primary employer right now. And the Institute is responsible for educating and supporting and training our national team athletes. So MPC, mental performance consultant, is a term that we've used to basically say that we're focused on the mental side of performers, but a lot of us come with a different background. So I've come from a counseling background. Many other practitioners are coming from kinesiology that have now moved into a sports psychology. So basically, it's a nice fancy title to say that we're here to help with your mental game. So that's primarily where I spend my time. But yes, my private practice with CG Head Coach Consulting has been going on, and in both, I'm supporting athletes of all ages. And all levels of discipline, like all levels of talent or competition, that sort of thing, right? So I can work with an 8-year-old or an 88-year-old. It's very cool. That aspect has been pretty great with my practice in the past. And right now I'm primarily focused on our national athletes, preparing them for Tokyo and Beijing. So yeah, it's quite a spectrum that I get to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, probably never a dull moment when you've got that wide age variety and people.
Yeah, every day is different for sure. And, I like the variety of it. When I'm working with my clients, we're focused on personal counseling and performance enhancement. So we're doing one-on-one conversations around, how are you bringing yourself to training? Where's the motivation? How's your focus? How are you managing the self-regulation aspect? How are you talking to yourself? That sort of thing to help get the performances that you want. So it's a really interesting job that I have, to be able to work with so many different people and help them reach their goals.
Oh, that's great. Why is it so important for athletes of any level and any age to seek out mental health support?
Well, the mental health conversation has been really gaining momentum in the past years, but I really, of course, through this COVID time, it's front and center. So we've been already kind of working on the mental health side of our athletes, but paying a little more attention to it now. And like I say, just really checking in with their general wellness first before we ask them to train and do their sport. It's incredibly important because we want them at their best. And even if they're not at their best, how can they still be doing what they love and enjoy and get the most out of it, have some good quality, right? So absolutely, it's a vital piece. And we're looking at all the components. How are the training schedules set up for these athletes? And, are they allowing them recovery time, which is so important, right? And that recovery and restoration is part of training. So, I'm thinking of non-sport athletes, like anytime you have downtime, how are you using that? And can we make that even better quality to just, add to the picture? So I had a coach tell a group once, and it was a quote from something, but he said, like, the negative space in art is so valuable because it just creates the balance to the rest of the picture. And I was like, that's it. Like, we want to use our negative space to really be able to balance the whole picture. So yeah, it's just been really interesting working with athletes to try to get them to really slow down. And how do they do that?
That's a really interesting quote, and it just makes you think about that negative space.
Yeah, how valuable it really is. And so, yeah, I loved that. And I've been using it because I think it's really important for us to see that we actually can have good quality downtime. It isn't just sit on the couch. Like, there's purposeful things that we can do to sort of keep our systems balanced, to have the best quality at wherever we show up.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned, obviously we're COVID. How have you seen your practice or your interaction with your clients change?
Well, obviously a lot of virtual, which, to be honest, they're okay with. Most of them are okay. It's definitely been a different way to communicate with, and not being able to be into the daily training environments as much as I would like or have used to be able to see firsthand and just to be present with them in those teachable moments. So that's been a bit of a challenge. Of course, when going through COVID, it was nonstop. Like, the days were 24 hours was not enough just to get things done and to handle and manage the needs that were coming up from individual athletes and teams and coaches and parents. What do I do with these athletes now? Right. So there was a lot of online workshops around mindfulness, let me tell you. And I can't even mention mindfulness anymore. They're all like, we're so mindful. Oh. But, you had to adapt, and they did. Training programs were altered. At-home programs were both, bolstered, and that sort of thing. So people managed, they adapted, and that's a big key of the resiliency that we're asking them to do in the sport field, right? And so we were able to draw on a lot of those analogies of challenges that they face in sport, and to be able to translate it into action items managing COVID.
Well, it sounds like you guys have done a great job adapting to that for these athletes.
Trying. Yeah. Now we just hope these Olympics happen.
That's all we can do is try, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And for our followers out there, what coping mechanisms or strategies do you have for them?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm pretty basic. Mind-body connection. If we're paying attention to our mind-body connection, we're halfway there. Awareness is the big key, right? So the way I like to put it is, paying attention to our mind, that's what we're thinking and what we're focused on. We know when we focus on something, it expands. So we want to focus on the right things at the right time as much as possible. Body is our breath, right? When we're stressed, when our system is unbalanced, both of those things are off. Our breath is not full, it's up in our chest. We're not getting those full restorative breaths in, and it affects our thinking and everything. So check in on those. Awareness, if you notice that things are changing for you, asking yourself these questions of just, where am I thinking and how's my breathing? And if that's really changing, or you're getting caught up in situations, or noticing that you're more irritable or that type of thing, your sleep's being disrupted, your appetite, a lot of these little signals sometimes we gloss over because we can maybe keep too busy, or, I know some people are bored. I haven't been able to experience the boredom of COVID yet, but I know it's out there and it cannot be fun. They're like, no more puzzles. But that mind-body connection, just to keep the awareness going, a great question to ask yourself is just, how would I like to have a friend like me right now, right? Gets you thinking about, how am I behaving? How am I thinking? How am I influencing others around me in this time? And so really just the self-reflection of, how am I feeling? Are things changing for me is a first thing. I am a proponent of mindfulness, of course. A lot of our anxiousness lives in the past and future. So we want to be present when we can, practice presence during our day to just slow the world down. So being able to engage in some mindfulness practice, whatever it looks like, even if it's active breath walk as you're taking a walk down the street, doing some, purposeful breath and that sort of thing, can really be helpful. Another aspect is, being able to accept some things. We fight change. And so getting to a point where like, okay, I don't like what's happening, but it is happening. So how do I want to respond? Right. And then just committing, like, let's commit to what's next. You know, is it setting a goal for just this week? This week, I'm going to do something personal for myself. This week, I'm going to do, you know, reach out to a friend or whatever it is, like try to make a commitment. And I think the last piece that I'll add to that is pay attention to the different areas. So when I'm working with a younger athlete that's in school, we look at how's school going, how's your sport going, how's your social scene going, how is your sleep, and how are you taking care of yourself? So take an assessment, have a look at those areas. If they're hurting, see what you can do about it, right? If they're good, fantastic. Make those connections to your friends, your social circles. Pay attention to school just as much as you can, you know, set the goals and that sort of thing. So if you can kind of get a little structure, I think that is helpful too for some people to just sort of relieve some of the, you know, just the vibe that we're in right now.
No, there's just some great questions and some great points. Like you even got me thinking here, and when we get off this call and I go on my walk and, you know.
Yeah, just do a nice breath walk, you know, 4 breaths in with, you know, 1 step breath in, 1 step breath in, and then out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, just to get a little bit of, you know, invigorating and that sort of thing. Just to give your mind a little vacation for a moment.
That's a nice way to look at it. I think we're getting close to the 15 here. I just wanted to know if there was anything else that you wanted to add here, Christie, that we haven't covered yet.
No, other than just reach out. Like if your listeners and followers are struggling, like honestly, the best thing you can do is talk to somebody, friend, you know, friends, stranger, phone. There's a lot of resources out there. Talk to your, go online, look at, like, your website alone is fantastic, right? Just with opening up a door to finding resources, talking about it. It's actually, we talk about safe spaces. This is a brave space. You're brave to talk about it because you're not alone, and it does help. So yeah, don't be afraid to reach out.
That's great. And if anybody wanted to get in contact with you, how can they do that?
They can, I would say they could contact me on my email, which is my name, CHRISTIE @cgheadcoach.com.
That's great. Well, thanks so much for taking your time today, Christie, for that. Lots of good information in there and tips for people. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.